Hi everyone, welcome to today's fantastic tutorial. Today we are going to edit this image. This image is by Mohit and he has provided us this beautiful image of his to edit. So we are going to edit this image. So let's get started what we can make out of it. Alright. So first of all, I'll create a duplicate copy of this by pressing Ctrl J or Command J. If you are using Mac, I'll right click and select convert to smart object. That way it would be a smart object and we will apply the smart filter on this image. So we'll go to the filter and then select the camera raw filter. If you are using Adobe Photoshop CC or the later version, then camera raw filter must be available over here. Okay, so I'll click it and it is going to launch the camera raw, and I'll just first of all press auto and it is going to fix some of the contrast or exposure issue. And now I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit, and that way it's looking good. And let's try to increase the contrast. Yes, this one is looking good. Let me bring down the highlight a little bit and open up these shadows even further and increase the clarity a little bit, increase the vibrance, something like this, and little bit of saturation, and that way we have some good image. All right, and then we'll increase the sharpening by pressing Alt and dragging this slider up to here. Increase the sharpening, increase the luminance. All right, and I think I don't need to do anything else and press OK. And now you can see the difference by turning this on and off. This was before, it was dark and dull, and now we have added a little bit light and fixed the exposure and the contrast of this image. And now let me add a little bit effect to this image. So I'll go over here and select the gradient and click over here on the gradient editor, and here I'll choose this any of the two gradient which has two options, two colors. So I will just click over here and I will choose this yellow kind of a color and press OK, and I will create a new preset, so that would be available for me in the future, and I will press OK. And from this style to I'll choose the radial. Okay, and that way we'll be having a sun like effect, and we'll press OK and change its layer blend mode to, let's say, screen, or let's say lighten, or try different one, overlay, or maybe soft light. I think I'll go for the screen, and I'll just double click it and drag this center something around here, and I need to add a little bit more color to this. So I'll just click over here and I'm going to add one more color. So I'll just click and drag it here, click here once to create a new slider or color option, and then click here and I will choose this black color and will press OK. And now we have three colors. This is yellow, okay, and if you want I can change that color, and then we have the orange, and then we have the red. All right, and then press new, and this preset would be available for us for the future purpose, and we'll press OK. And now we can drag this to any side or anywhere we want. So I will drag it something like here, okay, so that we get some warm light on the face. I'll press OK and create a duplicate copy of it by pressing Ctrl J or Command J and drag it. And as you can see, I cannot drag it, so I'll just double click it, and now I can drag it anywhere I want. So I'll drag it to something like here, okay, so that we get some warm light over here as well. Press OK, and now we are going to add some vignette effect to this image. So again we'll go to the gradient and we'll select this time the linear gradient, and this is a black to transparent gradient, which is the default one, and we'll press OK and we'll press OK. And now we'll lower down its opacity to something like this. Okay, so we have little bit of gradient and dark vignette effect, and now we'll choose the brush tool and from the brushes panel, we'll choose the soft edge brush with 0 hardness and make sure the opacity is around 20%. And with the black color, which is over here, let me paint in over here. Okay, so that it gets a little bit dark from this side. All right. And now add a little bit more light over here on the top of it. So I'll click here once to create a new layer, and now I will go to the swatches and I will select this orange color once again and change its layer blend mode to linear dose and click here once. And let me just make the opacity 100% and click here once, and it is going to add some light, and press Ctrl T and press Ctrl T and let me scale it to something like this and place it over here. Press enter and let's change its blend mode to screen, and linear dose is looking good, and paint it once more. Okay, paint here once more and let me place it something like here. And now what we are going to do, we are going to enhance eyes a little bit. So we'll zoom in, come to the adjustment, select the curves adjustment, and we are going to drag this up, and then press Ctrl I to invert it. Zoom into the eyes, take the brush tool with soft edge brushes with 20% opacity, and with the white color I'm going to paint on the eyes. So what it is going to do, it is going to add a little bit light on the eyes. Okay, and now we are going to lower down its opacity a little bit, because I think that is way too much beyond the taste of mine. All right, and now let's dose and burn this image. So we'll create a new layer, and by pressing shift we'll press backspace, and it is going to open the fill option for us. So, and from this drop down menu we are going to select the 50% gray, and we'll press OK and change its layer blend mode to overlay. And now we'll select the dose tool by pressing this icon, or you can press O on your keyboard. Make the size of the brush smaller and make sure the exposure is around 10% to 15%. Okay, and paint wherever there is highlight. And you can paint more a number of times if you want the more result. Okay, so I'm just quickly doing it. You can take your time. So wherever there is a light, I'm going to paint in. We are going to take the burn tool from here. So if we'll just press shift O, we can have the access to burn tool, and again lower down the exposure to something around 15% and start painting wherever there are the dark area or the shadows. And if you want, you can lower down the exposure even further. Okay, and what it is going to do, it is going to enhance the details on this image. And dozing and burning is a great technique. And if you want to learn the complete dozing and burning technique in Adobe Photoshop, then you can check out my courses, and there is a link to that in the description section below, which is called the Doze and Burn Masterclass in Photoshop, where I have explained each and every technique which professionals use as well as the amateurs use to enhance the details of their images, especially portrait and the landscape. All right, so if you are interested in learning how the dozing and burning works, what are different ways of doing this, then you must join my course with a huge discount. There is a link to that. Go ahead and check that out, and if you are interested, please do join that. Otherwise, enjoy the free tutorial. All right. And let me paint on the face over here, on the beards as well. And let me zoom in a little bit further and paint over on the eyes. Make these eyes little darker. Okay, and you can check the difference by turning it on and off. And if you want more result, you can press Ctrl J once again to have a higher effect, or the more effect, sorry. And let me lower down the opacity. If you feel that it is way too much, then you can always lower down the opacity. And now I'm going to create a stamp copy of all of this by pressing Ctrl Alt Shift E, and it is going to create a stamp copy of it. I'll come over here and then I will select the color balance option, and here we have option to target mid-tone, shadows, or the highlights. So first I'll go for the mid-tone and increase the red into the image, and let's try to add some magenta and little bit blue or yellow. I think blue is looking good, so I'll drag it towards the blue, and then target the shadows. In shadows I'm going to go for the blue color, and let's add little bit magenta. Okay, and little bit red as well. Okay, and then in the highlights I'm going to add little bit of cyan and little bit green and little bit yellow. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I will come over here and select the photo filters, and from these drop down menu, let's try different one. You can try different filters and you can go for the look you want. And I think sepia is looking good, or magenta, maybe blue, or alright, let's go for the orange, increase its density so we'll have more effect. You can check the difference by turning it on and off. Right now we have more red everywhere. And then let's add some contrast, boost the contrast and the color. So we'll create a new curves adjustment and we'll create a slightest of S. Okay, so it is going to add more light and more contrast to the image, and this one looks much better than the earlier one. All right, and I think now we are finished working on this image, and if you want you can even sharpen it a little bit further. So we'll press Ctrl Alt Shift E or Command Option Shift E to create a stamp copy of it. Change its layer blend mode to, let's say, linear light. Go to the filter, select other and select high pass, and let's choose the radius of 1 and press OK. And as you can see, it has added way too much sharpening, and that's not what we want. So we'll lower down its opacity to something like this, and now we'll create a new layer mask by pressing Alt or Option. So we have a black layer mask, and then we'll choose the brush tool and make sure the brush is small with soft edge brushes with 0 hardness, and paint on the details with the white color wherever you want more details. So on the eyes, on the face, on the beards, and on the hairs, and on the jacket if you want. And you can paint twice or thrice if you want more sharpening. Okay, and that way it is looking good. So you can check by turning it on and off. There is a slightest of difference. If you are watching in full HD, then you might be able to see it. So this is our final result. So thank you so much. Let me show you the before result as well. So this was our starting image and we have made it into something like this. So thank you so much. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. And if you like today's episode, please don't forget to hit the like button and please do subscribe to my channel for more videos. And if you want me to edit your images, then please do send that me on harsh@harshvardhanart.com. And I will edit your image, create a tutorial on that, and I will feature yourself or your image on that tutorial. So thank you so much. Bye bye. Consider sharing this video with others who can benefit from this. See you in the next episode.